GutPunched, Alzheimer's and caregivers. Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. How you doing? You have a good week? I hope so. I'm glad to have you along with us. Okay, what are the two rules we follow here at GutPunched, Alzheimer's, and caregivers? You know them. Number one, you have to take care of yourself because if something happens to you, who is going to take care of your loved one? And number two, you can't do it alone. You need help. Find a good caregivers group. Network with friends or relatives. Very important stuff. Well, we've had an interesting week talking with a number of people who are going through some things with regards to dementia and Alzheimer's. And we've been working on interviews with each of them. And what's coming will be very, very interesting and hopefully entertaining. The interviews, so you know, do take a lot of work to put together. From meeting the people, finding common ground, and then the interviewing process. But really what takes the longest is the editing process. So thank you for your patience. It will be worth your wait, I promise. In this episode, we'll be looking at Alzheimer's disease home safety, creating a safe home environment, and disaster preparedness, tips for the family and friends. Plus, in the news, we'll hear about Science Pinpoints Nutrients Crucial to Brain Health. And from the entertainment world, we'll list some of the people in acting, in sports, and music who have had Alzheimer's or dementia. So let's get started. Well, I found this sheet from the Alvin Dubin Alzheimer's Resource Center in Fort Myers, Florida. It's titled Alzheimer's Disease Home Safety. Symptoms of Alzheimer's that may cause concern: wandering, rummaging, hallucinations and delusions, and agitation. In episode 12, we talked about most of those. What brings to my mind is I remember when Hurricane Irma came through Florida back in 2017. And this list was very, very helpful. And this is kind of creating a safe home environment year-round. Now, throughout the home, have an emergency number or emergency numbers and a home address displayed near phones. Hide a spare key outside in case the Alzheimer's person locks you out. Very important. All rooms need adequate lighting. Keep all medications locked away so you know where they are. Remove all rugs, cords, and sharp corners from pathways so if you have to leave or you have to run or there's some kind of commotion, you don't trip and fall. Install locks on all doors and windows. Now, when you get into the kitchen, something you got to pay attention to. Remove knobs from the stove. It's possible that somebody could bump a knob. I do it all the time, not paying attention. Anyway, remove knobs from stove. Disconnect garbage disposal. Now, when you get to the bedroom, you might set up an intercom device so you can communicate with others. Place the bed against the wall for more support. Now, in the living room, furniture should be stable and without sharp corners in case somebody falls or runs and trips and hits their head. In the bathroom, remove lock on the inside of the door. If you don't do that, make sure you have a key. I have one of those, and it's up above the rim there in case somebody gets locked inside. Place grab bars near toilet and shower, and that's really a good safety issue, especially in the shower. And depending on whether you have a tub or just a shower, a bar on the wall is very, very helpful. Now, when you check out your garage and laundry room, utilize child-proof door latches on storage cabinets and drawers containing dangerous items. Don't want them messing around. And other safety tips: enroll your Alzheimer's person or dementia person in safety program. And locally, you can call 239-437-3007. Identify rooms with signs. Consider person's physical comfort. Use door alarms, child-proof doorknobs, or disguises to keep person from leaving. Reduce distractions and be able to redirect with activities. Just some good tips. Now, disaster preparedness Here's tips for family and friends. Maintain a normal routine if possible. Anticipate needs of the person with memory impairment, like hydration, hunger, and comfort. Avoid continuous viewing or listening to news regarding weather or aftermath of a hurricane. Gets depressing, they become afraid. Make sure your loved one wears his or her ID bracelet at all times. My wife's got one. Doesn't come off. Avoid forcing your loved one to do something he or she does not want to do. Involve your loved one in enjoyable activities to divert attention away from catastrophic events, but avoid being outdoors during hot midday hours. And here in Florida, I'm telling you, it's hot. Don't let your loved one walk or drive away from home during the recovery after a hurricane. They may not be able to get back and then get disoriented. Utilize respite at long-term care centers in order to give yourself time to restore your home or living environment after a storm. And avoid arguing or trying to reason with your loved one. You have to be in control, but you got to be nice about it.
We'll be right back to GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Are you the caregiver for someone living with dementia? You're not alone.
I was a caregiver for my wife for 10 years, and it was a lot of work.
I'm a caretaker for my wife who has Alzheimer's.
I'm a caregiver of my husband that has CTE, and it's incredibly challenging.
The Dubin Center in Fort Myers has been offering free educational classes and support since 1995.
The Dubin Center has helped me exponentially with so many questions answered. It's just been great.
This is GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
And now, in the news. Stories and articles that have been popping up in the mainstream media outlets but don't get a lot of traction. If you miss it, you've missed it. And this article comes from Newsmax. It's dated May 23rd, 2024, written by Dennis Thompson. Science Pinpoints Nutrients Crucial to Brain Health. Specific nutrients could play a pivotal role in the healthy aging of your brain, a new study finds. Specific nutrients could play a pivotal role in the healthy aging of your brain, a new study finds. What's more, these nutrients correlate closely with those found in the Mediterranean diet, an eating pattern already associated with healthy brain aging, researchers report. The identified nutrients align with the extensive body of research in the field demonstrating the positive health effect Mediterranean diet, which emphasizes foods rich in these beneficial nutrients, said senior researcher Aaron Barbie, director of University of Nebraska Lincoln Center for the Brain, Biology, and Behavior. For the study, researchers took blood samples and performed brain function tests and MRI scans on 100 cognitively healthy people ages 65 to 75. Now, analysis revealed two different types of brain aging among the participants, accelerated and slower than expected. Now, those with the slower brain aging had a distinct nutrient profile in their blood samples, results show. The beneficial nutrient blood biomarkers included a combination of fatty acids, antioxidants, two forms of vitamin E, choline, an essential nutrient. Now, this profile correlates closely with that of the Mediterranean diet, researchers noted. These nutrient patterns are promising and have favorable associations with measures of cognitive performance and brain health, Barbary said in a university news release. Previous research on nutrition and brain aging has relied on food questionnaires, which depend on participants remembering what they've eaten. This is one of the first and largest studies to check blood markers for nutrient levels, combine that data with brain imaging and cognitive testing, researchers said. Now, this allows us to build a more robust understanding of the relationship between these factors, Barbie said. We move beyond simply measuring cognitive performance with traditional neuropsychological tests, Barbary noted. Instead, we simultaneously examine brain structure, function, and metabolism, demonstrating a direct link between these brain properties and cognitive abilities. Now, furthermore, we show that these brain properties are directly linked to diet and nutrition, as revealed by the patterns observed in nutrient biomarkers. Now, these findings were published May 21st in the journal nature aging. Researchers plan to continue studying this nutrient profile and its role in healthy brain aging. They hope the findings will lay foundation for therapies to promote brain therapies, to promote brain health. An important next step involves conducting randomized controlled trials, Barbie said. In these trials, we will isolate specific nutrients with favorable associations with cognitive function and brain health and administer them in the form of nutraceuticals, which are foods or supplements designed to boost health. This allows us to definitely assess whether increasing the levels of these specific nutrient profiles reliably leads to improvement in cognitive test performance and measures of brain structure, function, and metabolism, Barbary said.
We'll be right back to GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
I was in charge of my mother since she retired from work. When she was diagnosed with Alzheimer, it just turned my life like upside down. It was difficult for me to identify because she normally forget where she left the keys or if she has something to do. She can have a conversation like normal with a neighbor, but suddenly she comes to me and she says, "Who's that? I don't know who's that." And she started like repeating the same questions. And when she was diagnosed, she said, "What are you telling me? No, I don't have this." Because she didn't want to recognize what was happening to her. 1 in 10 Americans over 65 has Alzheimer's disease, and 2/3 are women. For more information, go to brightfocus.org.
This is GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Well, it's time to talk about people and celebrities in the news. People who have somebody in their family or themselves have suffered from dementia or Alzheimer's. I came across this really pretty interesting list from Very Well Health, put together by Christine Kennard back in 2023, and fact-checked by somebody by the name of Sarah Scott. So, Alzheimer's disease and dementia can affect anyone. We know that. Even people who are famous. Here's a list of famous people with Alzheimer's or dementia, including actors, athletes, writers, or other public figures. This one I don't know, but Mabel Albertson, Dana Andrews, Estelle Getty, remember her from Golden Girls? Charles Bronson, James Doohan from Star Trek, Arlene Francis. I think her last role was in the movie Grease. Rita Hayworth, Peter Falk, who was an actor, Columbo, remember him? And he passed in 2011. And here's one, Moses, Planet of the Apes, Charlton Heston, actor and political activist who passed in 2008. Jack Lord from Hawaii Five-0, remember him? Burgess Meredith, an actor who was in Rocky, and he passed in 1997. Arthur O'Connell, he was an actor. Otto Preminger, a director, famous director, who passed in 1986. Sean Connery, 007, actor, and he passed in 2020. Aaron Spelling, TV producer, movie producer. Remember Robin Williams? An actor. He was born in 1951 and passed away in 2014. That shocked the world. And Joanne Woodward, an actress, and she apparently is still alive. Now, if we want to take a look at the sports area, Joe Addick, a baseball player, Tom Fears, professional football player and coach, hockey player Gordie Howe, and he died in 2016. Sugar Ray Robinson, he was a boxer. And let's see, we have Betty Robinson Swartz, an Olympic gold winner in track events. Pat Summitt, a coach of Tennessee Volunteers basketball coach. She had a great record, great reputation. And now let's take a look at some of the musicians. It's just kind of interesting. It makes you think about, can't happen to me? It could. Could happen to somebody you know and love. In the musicians column, Tony Bennett. And he just passed recently. Again, this is 2023, so I think it was the end of 2023 that he did pass away. Glenn Campbell, country music star and great guitar player. Casey Kasem, DJ and radio personality, American Top 40. Remember Perry Como? Catch a falling star, put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. I remember that. Aaron Copland, who was a composer. Tommy Dorsey, a singer. Steve Lawrence, another singer. And Malcolm Young from AC/DC. And he was fairly young. He was born in 1953, died in 2017. And when you look at politicians and activists, Barry Goldwater, Rosa Parks, Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, Harold Wilson, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Who else do we got here? Authors, writers, and journalists. Here's Ben Bradley, a journalist. He passed in 2014. And now if you're concerned about yourself or a loved one because you've noticed the warning signs of dementia, please reach out for help. It may help to take an at-home dementia screening test called the SAGE, S-A-G-E, to see whether the changes could be a normal part of aging or a concern you should bring to your healthcare provider. And that's it for people in entertainment, sports, and music.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
In episode 11, we played some classical music in regards to an article that we were talking about and how classical music affects your brain. I got a couple of emails from people said that the classical music reminded them of Bugs Bunny. And I thought, I remember that. And there was one song I didn't get a chance to play, which really reminds me of Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd, Kill the Wabbit, Kill the Wabbit. So, here you go.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Well, that's about it for this week. I know it's a little shorter than most of the episodes, but let's call it short and sweet. Hope you picked up a few good tips. As I mentioned earlier, we've been working on some really good interviews, and we'll be bringing them to you in future episodes. They do take an awful lot of time. Editing is tough. We hope that if you know someone who has a family member or friends who are dealing with a loved one who has Alzheimer's or any type of dementia, that you would let them know about this podcast. To find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can visit alz.org/local resources /find your local chapter, or use the Elder Care Locator, 1-800-677-1116, or use the Elder Care Locator online tool. The Dementia Society of America is dementiasociety.org. If you have any questions or thoughts about GutPunched, Alzheimer's, and caregivers, or if there is a specific topic you would like to know more about, reach out to us. The website is gutpunched.com, and the email address is gutpunchedac@outlook.com. A special shout out to Rick Peterson, Aura Santana, Gentry Thomas, Dan Moser, the Dubin Center, and my wife for the tremendous help and support making this podcast possible. So thanks for joining us, and please come back again for more. God bless.
This has been Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com.